Welcome guys back to the YouTube channel, even though this is the first video. Today we're at Canada for a league race with RaceFacePro. Last time out wasn't really a good result at Japan. I was running in the top 10, 8th, and then lost it in the final corner in the last 2 laps and ended up finishing 12th. However, today we're looking to try better that. I haven't practiced much on this track, so first time around I was trying to at least match my time trial lap. It was I think in time trial I did a 10.5, 10.4. In the quali practice I couldn't get near that. I was only getting in the 11s, so first time around here for the race I was hoping that I could at least get close to the 1 minute 10s. First lap is very scruffy, as you can see. I wasn't trying to push to the max. I was just trying to get a banker just so we could at least have something to work upon. Yeah, as you can see, very loose, almost losing it into the wall, but we managed to hold it and we keep pushing. Another thing that was going through my mind the whole time is I actually wanted to save a set of softs for the race. So throughout the whole qualifying session I was constantly like battling and deciding if I wanted to use that third set of softs or if I could make it with just 2 sets. So yeah, that was like a very hard decision to make, because I thought if I could keep 1 set I could maybe run medium medium softs or hard softs, depending on how the race went, because on this game with the new handling model a fresh set of tires is very nice to have. It's a very big advantage. First time around it wasn't that bad. As you can see, we fall down to 8th as everyone else set the lap. So coming again, trying to set a new one. As you can see, invalidated. Not ideal on a new new set of tires. So I try to go around again and try to set another lap on the same set. See if we can improve. And yeah, coming into the first corner, I don't want to send it too hard. As we go and we take it, you can see really still fighting the car to turn in these corners. I did go for a more stable setup as I wanted to have that confidence in the race. That did cost me a little bit of time, and as you can see, again I invalidate. It's really not shaping out the way I wanted to. Now that's what's making it tricky, because now I've used 2 sets of soft tires and I have 1 left, which is one I wanted to keep as we pass a Ferrari that went off there. So now I really had to decide, do I want to go out again? Do I want to use a new set of tires? I actually ended up using the set from the first run to try to see if I can better myself, and that's this last run now is my final run for quali. So yeah, the goal now is to at least try keep not invalidate the lap and just keep it going throughout. Not ideal using an old set of tires, but I did feel that I had so many mistakes in the first lap that I could pull it back. As you can see, we are gaining time even though we had a bad first corner, and then setting it through here, it's really easy to lose the rear in this corner, so I was really cautious and gentle on the throttle. Even though we lost time, we're still gaining time down the straights. That just shows you how bad my first lap was. Even though this is an older set of tires, again, almost lose the car here. In Canada, it's really a game of cat and mouse. You can push, you can lose the car, but if you can hold it, it's really rewarding. As you can see, we gained 2 tenths already on the old set of tires. I was like, geez, this is what I need. And I think if I could keep those 2 tenths, I would have been 8th maybe. But as you'll see, coming to the final corner, we were very careful here because it's also very easy to invalidate, and we just lost like 500ths. And yes, although it's an improvement, not as what it could be, but we did manage to get to 9th with that lap, and the goal was to try get a top 10 quali, and which we did get, because I know in the race I normally have faster race pace. So we got the goal. It's a good place to work off of. Going into the race, however, my strategy, as you can see, note the rain cloud in that top corner there, right? Now, in the moment when I was trying to work out my strategy, I never saw that rain cloud. So you will see later in the race when my engineer mentions it, I was actually very shocked. So I was really contemplating on a medium soft, and then I wanted to do a hard soft, but I thought, okay, you know what, let me take the hards and then we'll see how the race went, not knowing that there was rain coming later. So yeah, going into the race, I didn't want to be too aggressive, as in a previous league race, my first one, I was super aggressive and it costed me a couple of positions and a bit of penalties later with the stewards. So today I wanted to just keep my nose clean. If there was someone faster behind me, I would have just let them through. No point fighting it. So coming into the race, as you could see around me, everyone was on softs and mediums, and I never understood as to why, but obviously because of the rain that was coming later. So lights out and away we go. We got a decent start, being very cautious into turn 1 as we don't want to cause an incident. We avoid there, however a Ferrari taps us and we almost lose it, but we just managed to catch it and keep it around the outside. Yet I get a penalty for the Ferrari hitting me, which I feel is very unfair, and that means 2 more and I get a 3-second time penalty. So again, not ideal, as the Mercedes spins the McLaren and then the Alpha spins as well. That Alpha, by the way, I think he got pole this year very fast. He's, I think, on average 1.5 seconds faster than most of us. So I knew he would catch us later, which you will see. But yeah, with the McLaren and the Mercedes ahead, I thought I had pace to keep up. TJ in the McLaren and Martin in the Mercedes behind me, I raced with them in another league. So it was very nice to see where I could stack up against them. As well as Venom Terror. He, I think, is running 3rd at the moment. He's 2nd in this championship, but also in another league. I filled in for his seat last time out in a TFR. No, sorry, in LSA, yeah, LSA. But yeah, forgive me, I am a bit sick, so just bear with that with me. Yeah, we're just trying to keep behind the McLaren and the Mercedes, and as we almost go into the back of the McLaren there, just managing to keep it. Yeah, I don't want to use my battery too much. I wanted to be patient. I knew the time would come. There's no point being super aggressive as we almost go into the wall there. So yeah, the whole race, I just wanted to be very smart with my decisions. And I knew at this stage, not knowing there was rain, I knew I would be faster later on into the stint as their tires died out. Like I said, with the new handling model in this game, strategies are always open and always different. As then again, we almost lose the rear. And now the Mercedes and the McLaren are battling, which is perfect. That's what we want. As they battle, they will slow each other up. As you can see, we're just closing in so nicely. And then after this lap, DRS will activate, so hopefully we can still be at the back. And then we've managed to pull a gap on the Mercedes behind, so that's really nice. We've broken that DRS chain there, so we can really just focus on the battle ahead of us. And then yeah, it's also going into these corners there. It's very tricky to run into the wall of champions, so that was also very much on my mind. And there we go, DRS enabled, and now it's just about a game of patience, timing your move perfectly. And then as you can see, Frey got a 3-second time penalty. You'll see that's going to be, and we got another warning there. One more, and then we will get our own 3-second time penalty. But you'll see those penalties will come into play a lot later into the race, especially with the rain. It actually works to our advantage later. You'll see how that plays out. But then again, yeah, getting the DRS, just being patient, not trying to be a hero and send it unnecessarily. Just waiting for our opportunity. Again, almost losing the rear. But yeah, like I said, going into this race, you know, just really trying to keep it clean. And also practicing, you know, seeing how it is, being patient, and how your race can unfold if you're not doing unnecessary battles. It's something I wanted to test for a while, and also try to improve my maturity as a driver. As I think we sent it in too hot here, yeah, and we almost ran into the wall there. I feel like that penalty, the warning was a bit unnecessary. I mean, we didn't gain any advantage from doing that. I mean, if anything, our race could have been over right there. But again, we managed to hold it. And Psych, we actually ended up having a nice long battle with Psych throughout the race. We even messaged after the race saying it was a good battle and everything. So you'll see Psych pop up a lot throughout the race. At this stage, I did feel we were faster than Psych. As you'll see, I think lap 6, I think we actually go for a move on Psych. Again, like I said, just being patient. But yeah, at this stage, it was just more about nursing the tires, not trying to push them too hard. Because I knew I'd be faster and their tires will wear out eventually. So I wanted to eke them out as long as I could, hopefully to try and get to that soft tire at the end. Because I thought with the extra set of soft tires, I could really have that advantage at the end. And I think we ended up going for a move here. Yes, we did. And as you can see, we've centered around the outside, really pushed the limits of fair and hard racing there, going into the outside to make that turn. I did message him after the race asking if I was a bit too hard there, and he said no, it was perfectly fine. So yeah, I was worried about that. I also think he was a bit shaked after that, because this is his first or second league race, so I think that move might have just spooked him a little bit. Again, we almost lose the rear. However, as you can see, Azure is behind us, and I told you this was going to happen. He was going to catch us eventually. So I think that was also the reason why I made the move then, because I just wanted to be ahead before Azure caught up, which he was inevitably going to do. As you can see, I'm looking behind me to see how far back he is. I just told myself I'm not going to fight it. The second he's right behind me, I'll just let him through. There's no point fighting it. It's not our fight today. He's too fast, and I don't want to hold him up or cause any unnecessary drama with him in his battle. With Corsair, I think, which is also his teammate. They, I think, are battling each other for the championship right now. Yeah, as also Venom's also running second. However, as you can see, Azure now in our DRS, and yeah, I think I just told myself this lap I'll probably let him through. We don't have the best of exits there as he starts closing in rapidly. I did think about maybe letting him through here if he was close enough, but he wasn't. I also just think he's being smart and patient. You know, he's a very great driver and he won't do anything unnecessary. However, I do think I let him through here, which I think confused him as well. As you can see, he slowed down, so I really just braked and made sure he went through, which in hindsight I could have maybe waited for DRS, as now Psych has caught up to us again. So yeah, it's not ideal, as my engineer is being optimistic as ever. Sliding out the corner, also never ideal. Weighs your tires too much and allowed Psych to really be right behind us. But we fought him well. I think throughout this battle we managed to stay ahead of him for now. But as you can see, if you look to the sky, the clouds are starting to get darker, and I never realized this at the moment. But as those clouds get darker and the temperature drops, you'll see our pace on the hards are also just going to start falling away. But right now, just trying to keep up with the Azure. Just try to see if I can get back in his DRS forward turn. And then there you go, you see, I asked, and then yeah, and now I was very confused because I never saw the rain. So after hearing that message, I was really like, and I realized to myself why everyone was on mediums and softs, because they didn't need to worry about tire wear, they just had to make it till the rain. And I realized right now, yeah, as you can hear my engineer being very motivational. But yeah, I knew now I was at very much a big disadvantage, whereas our teammate has been struggling, and on lap 8 we actually go for a move on him, and the same thing we did to Psych. However, this time our teammate actually hits us, and yeah, I don't know if that was a racing incident or if he just didn't expect us to turn in there when we did. It was very unfortunate, but we got the move done, even if it's a bit controversial. Hopefully we'll see what the stewards say after the race. But at this point I was just trying to keep ahead of, well, now it's Martin that's actually behind me. I do think he passes us. As I said, as you can see, it's very overcast, and at this stage with the drop in temperature, because the hard tires take so long to heat up, our temperature was just gone and we were just losing pace. So it was very hard to stay ahead, and I didn't necessarily want to fight more than I had to, because we were just going to end up killing the tires more. But what was going through my head a lot at this stage of the race was, when would I need to pit for my pit stop? Because like I said, with the handling model at this stage, the fresher your tires, the bigger that undercut you can get, especially on that crossover period. So it was very important to nail that. And as you can see, me continuously asking my engineer for advice on the weather. And I was really contemplating on pitting soon. As you can see, also for league racing, I turned the graphics down to try not to have too much lag. But the disadvantage of that is it is sometimes hard to make out the weather at the start, so you'll only necessarily know when the rain is completely falling down. So yeah, and then as you can see, Martin passed. So now I was just about trying to stay with him, try not to fall too far back. But again, still considering and deciding when was the exact time to pit, because you don't want to leave it too late and you don't want to pit at the same time as them, because at the end of the day you're not really making any gains or advantage, you know. So if you could just get that one lap before everyone else, and as we slide, we're really struggling with grip right now. But if we could just time that right, we could make so much places, and that was the mindset going into this. As you can see, also we have a 3-second time penalty from a corner cut earlier. And the whole time I was also just looking ahead on the map to see if anyone was pitting. And as we close up to Martin and we back off, because we don't want to go for the move now, we just want to stay behind him. We don't want to put unnecessary pressure, you know. But again, we're still struggling, and it's getting to that point where it's almost time for inters. And again, you don't want to. I wanted to put the last lap, but I decided not to, because again, if you get it wrong, it's not going to really gain you anything. You might end up just losing more time. So again, we try to stay behind Martin, struggling, and yeah, we just managing to survive and keep within his DRS. Syke has actually fallen back a bit. I believe he's also struggling a bit. But again, we're all struggling. And as I continually ask for information from my engineer,
conditions are going to keep deteriorating.
And then when he said that, that's when I decided really, like, maybe I should put now, when he said the conditions were going to deteriorate, because that normally means it's time basically for inters at this stage. And I can't remember if it is this lap I pit or the next, we'll see. But again, I just kept watching ahead to see what everyone else was doing, and I'm not sure if it was this lap. I think it might have been this lap that we did pit. Let's see. Yes, we do put this lap. As you can see, it was really a late minute decision, as I never even asked to box. I just completely decided to at the last second, and this was a very big gamble, because I didn't know at the stage if this was the right call. The FIA never said DRS is disabled, because that's normally your big sign that it's wet conditions. And I really just took the gamble here and was hoping it was going to pay off. And as you will see, coming out the pits, I didn't know what the conditions were going to be like. So as we go out the pits into turn 1, it was actually, the car felt very heavy coming out there, and as you can see, we're struggling for grip. And I think it's like we really just struggled to turn, and I actually thought I had wing damage maybe, because I couldn't understand why it was so hard to turn. And I think I do end up checking on my dashboard here if I actually had damage, because as you can see, we're just struggling with grip at the moment. And I am checking the weather condition. Engineer is still saying dries are the best condition, so I was very nervous that I made the wrong call at this part of the race. So I was like, my heart sank thinking that I made the wrong call. And there, you see, I checked there quickly if I had wing damage, because I just couldn't understand why we were struggling. I think the tires just weren't warm enough. And there you go, DRS disabled. That gives me so much more confidence, thinking that we made the right call with strategy. And as you can see, everyone is piling into the pits. So where is this going to put us coming past the pit lane, as the Ferrari is struggling with grip right now, and we go through to the final corners onto the main straight, coming past the pits. As you can see, there goes the Mercedes of Martin and Syke, and we actually jumped the Mercedes, and we actually called it so right that we're actually at the back of Azure and the leaders. Like, that's insane. You see what I told you, like, timing it perfectly can gain you so much in conditions like this, and we absolutely nailed that call. It was a master call by us from our side. And right now, I just thought, I'm not gonna keep pace with the leaders right now. Azure is, like I said, extremely fast, but I wanted to try and see if I can at least keep close. But again, we're just still struggling to find that grip and that confidence in the wet. And Syke is 2 seconds behind us, but throughout the wet in the race, he actually ends up catching us. Syke was very fast in the wet. As you can see, we had a 3-second time penalty. Again, like I said, we actually ended up letting Syke through because, yeah, I just felt like we were holding him up and I didn't need to fight unnecessarily and slow down our race. So I just ended up letting him through. And as the Ferrari had a moment into the hairpin as we lap him. And Venom Terror, actually from 2nd or 4th, I think it was, had a spin out the final corner and we managed to pass him. And this was also very big because, like I said, we raced with him in another league, so I wanted to see how our pace could compare to his. And throughout the whole time, him and I were having a cat and mouse battle. I wasn't worried about Syke ahead. He had too much confidence in the rain for me to try and catch him. So at this stage, it was more about trying to keep ahead of Venom. And I think our gaps went from 4 seconds to 1 second to 2 seconds to 1 second. And at some point, before lap 28, Venom, I think, actually hit the wall in this very sector. And he ended up pitting. Same with Marsh. Marsh also pitted again for a second set of intermediates. And I just thought, because at the end of this race, it's going to dry out. As you can see, the track is already starting to look dry. So I thought, if we were going to go pit to go into slicks, that pitting again for a new set of intermediates wasn't going to be the ideal strategy. Unless you thought you were far enough ahead that you didn't have to pit, which I think will be the case for the leaders with Corsair and Azure. They're so far ahead, I don't believe they need to pit if it does dry up. They will be safe. However, everyone from the McLaren downwards, so from 3rd down, might be in the target zone of if anyone puts onto softs from the soft runners. So again, the podium spots, the last podium spot is all open for everyone at this stage, as Marsh actually, as you can see, has a 17-second time penalty, which means we just have to be within that 17 seconds to inherently get a net P4. And as you can hear, I'm asking my engineer the entire time what the weather conditions are. When will the rain dry out? When will the track get dry? Because again, if I am going to put on softs, I need to time it perfectly. And I wanted to actually put last lap, but I just felt that it just wasn't the time yet. As though the track did feel dry, I just didn't feel we would have gained enough pitting then. So I left it out till the end of this lap, and I wanted to see how the track felt, because in my mind I was already convinced I was going to pit at the end of this lap. And I think we ended up telling our engineer now that we're going to end up boxing, which we do. And I told myself, and I committed to the strategy, even though I thought we could stay out. But I didn't feel like we were going to gain anything staying out. We were going to stay P6. Wasn't going to make any positions. So I thought we have nothing to lose. Our teammate's 12 seconds behind. We're going to come out behind him. And yeah, I just thought we had nothing to lose trying the soft, and we have a fresh pair of softs as well. And if you're going to go onto any tire in interchangeable conditions, you want the softest tire available for the most grip. So I just thought that, you know what, it's now or never. Let's give it a gamble and see what happens. So we end up going into the pits. We actually lock up, almost slide and lose the car. Not ideal, but we managed to hold it. So yeah, as our teammates will come past us now. Everyone else stayed out. That was another important thing. I didn't want to pit if everyone else pitted. I wanted to pit before, which we managed to do, and we got a perfect 2.2 second stop. And there you go, DRS enabled. That means the track is dry, and we caught it perfectly yet again. Our strategies have just been very, very good for pit stops throughout this race, and I think that gained us a lot of positions throughout the race. Coming out, for some reason I got wing damage, and I don't know from what, because as you saw there, I didn't hit anything. But yeah, not ideal. But I didn't feel any difference to the stability of the car, so I just decided to push. As you can see, the confidence we have coming out the corners on the soft set of tires, as I tried to adjust my differential and stuff a little bit, because I slightly tweaked that during the rain to try feel a bit more confident in the wet. But as you can see, we're just closing in on our teammates like tremendously fast, and we'll easily get back our P6. As Marsh is also in the pits, I think someone else in front of him pitted as well. I know the Haas pitted, not our battle. But yeah, and our teammates goes into the pits and we get the net P6. I think we come out just behind Marsh. I'm not sure. As you can see, I'm checking my tire temps. You don't want to overheat the tires too much in this game. But yeah, Marsh is right behind us. Again, I didn't want to fight Marsh, he was faster, but I did try to fight it in this sector, and we go down to side by side here, and as we have a little glitch, and Marsh ends up going in front of us, which was fine. I didn't mind it because I knew he had the pace to pass us anyways. So I just thought to myself, you know what, let him pull us along with DRS if we can stay behind him. And at the stage, I didn't realize it, but because I just thought we were too far away from P4 and that to actually close in time. But you will see as these last laps go out that the pace advantage we had on these soft tires, we are really closing in rapidly. I mean, we just closed in 2 seconds on Psych in that one little hairpin. And I didn't know it at the time. I just thought Marsh was just a lot faster than me, but he was actually really pushing to catch up to them, because he realized at that stage that podium spots were available and open for the taking. I just thought he was trying to pull a gap on me. As you could see, I tried to maybe look for a move on the inside of turn 1, but he closed us off. Yeah, like I said, I just thought at this stage Marsh was trying to pull a 17-second gap on us because of his penalties. However, I knew that was going to be very unlikely given the amount of laps, so I just needed to stay within that time frame to already at the end of the race pass him through the penalties. So that's why I wasn't really worried about fighting him too badly. I just knew I just had to stay within that time frame behind him. And as you can see, again, we're 14 seconds behind Psych. We're really closing in on those people who stayed out on intermediates. Again, we're not going to close in enough for first and second. They, I think, are 30 seconds ahead of P3. So, yeah, it's not very unlikely that we're going to close in on them. But we're managing to stay within 2 seconds of Psych. And this is when you could see I drained my battery. We're almost at 10% battery, because this is when I realized that we actually can catch them. So I was really trying to push along the side to try catch them. I mean, with Marsh, sorry. As you can see, he sets the fastest lap. Yeah, our teammates 16 seconds behind. Like I said, our battle's not behind at this stage, it's more ahead. And I knew in these closing stages of the race that I could really maybe get a podium depending on how far ahead the McLaren was. And yeah, it was just been a very good race from us. Consistent, we were being consistent in race pace. We tried to race clean where we can, not fight any unnecessary battles. So in these closing stages, I felt like our patience, our planning, our sacrifice in quali was really paying off in these closing stages. Also, like I said, our great timing on the pit stops and for the strategy, it's really paid off to help put us in this position. I do feel bad for my teammate though. He's had great pace throughout the race. That little incident at the back, at this back straight in the final corner, I don't, who knows where he could have been in the race as well. But for now, P6 and 7 for both Williams is very good for the team, because I think at this stage we're running second or last in the championship standings already, because we scored no points in the last race because we spun out in the second last lap. So I mean, any points finish in this stage is better than anything, especially the last race. And as you can see, Marsh is already fighting Psych, which is perfect for us because them fighting allows us to close in, and we are already almost on the back of Psych in the second last lap. And I don't think he's going to fight us too much. There's no point fighting us. We're on way fresher and softer tires. We have way more grip and pace. It's not going to do him any good fighting us. So coming out of this fast high-speed corner, as you can see, he just moves to the side, lets us come through, because there's no point, you know. And yeah, there's a yellow flag for what the, I don't know, because as you can see, there's no car that's off or anything by us. So yeah, we're just trying to keep up a Psych. As you can see, the McLaren is 7.8 seconds ahead with a 9-second penalty. So I just had to be within that 3-second gap to actually get the P3, because I'm already going to pass Nash with these 20-second time penalties. And as you can see, we're actually starting to close in on Nash. I didn't know it at the time, but we're really closing in on him now with the DRS. and I don't know if that unsettled him a bit or if he had damage, but he loses it out of this corner, and that allows us to go past, and that's such a shame. He was having such a great race, despite all the penalties and the broken wings. But yeah, so far we're in P4 with a net P3. I didn't need to pass TJ on the road, but I did feel like maybe I wanted to. So in this final lap, I'm really trying to push up to close to him and to try see if I can get P3 on the road. So yeah, really sending it through the corners and really trying to get as early as I can on that power to try close into the back of the McLaren. As Corsair wins the race for Alfa Romeo and Azure in second. Those two having a great battle out front. Like I said, they're just leagues ahead of everyone else at this stage. So it's really just a McLaren fight for the championship at this point. But right now we're at the back of TJ. We don't have DRS as we were too far back. But again, I didn't necessarily want us to send it down the inside as he closes us off. And I almost hit the back of him, but I managed to hold it. But again, I didn't need to pass him, so I didn't want to have an unnecessary collision or crash as we come through and take our first ever podium for a league race. Yeah, at the time it felt so good. It was just really an amazing race, and yeah, like I said, good strategy calls from us. Very mature driving in certain areas of the race and being patient, and just perfect calls at the perfect time. Yeah, hopefully we can do it again.